Good afternoon, everyone. We're kicking off this futures expiration week. Today is June 11th, 2018, and the week between futures rollover and futures expiration can be a little bit strange. You'll probably notice a few, uh, weird things that might look strange on the chart. So what's happening? You have the four contract months for the futures contracts. You've got HMUZ are the letters. You can see here on my Thinkorswim chart the current contract that I've got up here, ESU8. So we've got ES for the E-mini S&P, U for September, and 8 for the year 18. So we've got H corresponds with March, M corresponds with June, U September, Z December. So those are the four contract months, and then what happens is the Thursday prior, if I pull up a calendar, so expiration is the third Friday of the month, so this coming Friday. Well, the Thursday prior, like an entire week prior, is what's called futures rollover. And at that point, from Thursday on to Friday, a week before, you have volume move from the current contract, which was June, into the next month's contract, which is now September. So now September is the front month, and from Friday up until expiration, you've got both contracts trading, but the volume, more volume, is now in the September contract. Or at least that's how it typically works for most futures contracts across the board. So we've got two contracts trading, which means the prices are a little bit different. If you're trading on, you have charts on one platform and maybe you have your DOM or your order execution on a different platform, make sure that the contract symbols are the same. ESU8 is the current contract. So even though that H8 is still out there, make sure that both contracts line up here. So knowing that, these are typically weeks that I am very, very cautious to begin with. And this current week, we also have an FOMC meeting announcement on Wednesday. And we've got some talks going on with U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korea. So there's a whole lot going on this week that is really pushing towards be very, very cautious. And if you can get through the week, just without shooting yourself in the foot, consider that a good week. Now, I've got a couple lines drawn on my chart here. This is my ES chart. I'm going to go to a weekly just so it's a little bit simpler. We can see the bounce from a couple weeks ago. Didn't quite make it to the 50% retracement long, but we did come up and touch and trade through now the negative 23% target. These two lines that I have here are just marking those previous swing highs. And we broke the first one here at 27.8975. Next one is 28.07 and a quarter. And then the final swing high is the all-time high up here at 75 and a quarter. So we've got plenty of room to move to the upside with not a lot of resistance. So barring any major announcement this week, economic or global, trade or otherwise, things are looking pretty good in this market. Now today, so here's what that looks like on the daily chart. Pretty strong uptrend. Notice we haven't broken the previous day's low for a couple of days now, well, 4 days, and even this little low down here that was broken, if we take that out, we still had another couple more days. So it's been a pretty strong rally. Now this morning in the ES, I didn't see a whole lot. I started the day off just marking that high for the first 30 minutes and the low. And, there was some decent movement, but for the most part, it was sideways in that first hour or so until we broke out of that first 30-minute range. And so I didn't see a whole lot to do in this morning in the ES. I mean, there's, some little shorts up here that you could maybe draw to try and fade at highs. But again, I wanted to be pretty conservative this week, and especially starting off the week. So what I ended up doing is flipping over to the Nasdaq, and I drew up that same high and low of the first 30 minutes. And similar um, similar movement, but just in the fact that we stayed within the first 30-minute range. But that's kind of where the similarities ended on the Nasdaq. Notice that the Nasdaq, if we draw from lows to highs of the morning, it got a pretty decent bounce at its 50% retracement long. Now it didn't break out, but I noticed that there was a reaction there. And then as we came all the way down to lows and got this little double bottom, what I did is draw from highs down to lows and waited for that 61.8 to fail. Then I drew up from lows to highs, kind of assuming or anticipating that this double bottom would hold and we would rally from here. And I looked for a long setup to take us out of the first 30-minute range. So I drew this first one up, and I didn't take this first one. I just kind of wanted to see if it would trade, if there would be a reaction, just like back here, and there was. And we got a decent bounce. And so I waited till we got, sometimes what happens is we break the little swing high here, but we don't quite make it to the negative 23% target. And so I like to see us get pretty close before drawing the next move. If we just break highs by a tick or two and then pull back, that's not giving a lot of strength signal-wise to take another long. So once I saw that, we broke highs the first time here, and then we were able to get just about all the way to the negative 23% target. I was feeling a little bit more confident, so I drew up the next retracement, low to high, and then just took this guy at the 50%, and then was able to just kind of trail my stop underneath these swing lows on the way up till about a 70, what was it, the 72.04, and just had my stop below that, and then we ended up breaking that swing low over here, and that's what got me out of the trade. So one thing that I find really helpful, if you're looking at the three kind of main indices, the ES, the Nasdaq, and the YM, you can look at which one is the strongest for the day, which one is the weakest for the day, and if you're going to take a long, maybe look to take it in the strongest one. Or sometimes what happens is, if the Nasdaq's really strong, it may not pull back all the way to the 50%, but the ES will. And so today, I saw a better setup on the Nasdaq, even though the ES was, it didn't pull back as far. It didn't make a double bottom, but there just wasn't a lot to do. This little long here kind of corresponded with that long in the Nasdaq. Notice it didn't pull back to the 50% all the way, but then we didn't get another retracement, whereas the Nasdaq did. So you can kind of, using the same general analysis, then as you look at maybe one or two, maybe three different contracts, you can kind of pick and choose as to which setup or which market you want to trade. Now, as we're kind of coming into the end of the day, noticing the pullback here and the inverted hammer, not super surprising. Typically, going into an FOMC meeting announcement, the market's pretty balanced. Traders want to take it easy and and it's kind of wait and see approach. So I'm not expecting a lot tomorrow. Inside day, very likely. Tight range, very likely. But nonetheless, I'll be doing a live trading session, and we can check that out, in real time. Before we go, I want to talk about a couple of stocks. Home Depot is on a nice tear. Notice it has not broken the previous day's low from that entry. There was an entry down here, and as well as a couple swing lows further back, a little bit lower. That the market is very conducive. Home Depot, very very good one that I've been trading for quite a long time. And then what was the other one? Amazon made a nice pullback. Same with Google, and broke its swing high or swing low rather. Today's price broke yesterday's high, so a nice little entry there on Amazon. Notice the declining volume on the pullback. That's a good sign. And then in Google, same thing. A little bit clearer. You can see the move up, the pullback, declining volume. Also declining volume on the rally, but much less volume on the pullback. And then the breakout of yesterday's high today. And market's going to close here in 3, 2, 1. And there's the bell. Netflix, I still like this one a lot. I like the swing lows that are holding in trend, but not really a great entry I would consider up here. So those are some of the stocks that I'm looking at. Oh, we can just take a glance at Apple. A little bit more horizontal and then move up, horizontal and then gap down. So I don't like that one quite as much. When you look at Google, it's got a lot more uptrending nature here with room to move higher. Even though Apple is kind of up in open space, the trend is a little bit more horizontal as opposed to Google, which is a little bit more um, upward sloping. And then same if we look at Amazon, you can just clearly see the upward slope. So lots of good swing trades going on. Day trading this week, like I said, probably going to be really slow. I'm going to be out Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I kind of plan uh, time away if I'm going to be away from the screen on days that I'm anticipating or weeks that might be slow. So, nonetheless, tomorrow morning, live trading session, emoneymind.com/VIP. I hope everyone has a great week, and I hope your summer is off to a good start, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks, and have a great week.